I'm Lauren MacGyver, and I'm here to recap another episode of Teen Mom 2. This episode was amazing. We got Adam Lynn back, we had Chris Lopez, so much drama. I'm so excited to talk about it. So let's go into Chelsea. Her first baby daddy, Adam, is back. After 2 years, I did the research for you guys, he has finally returned to the Teen Mom 2 cameras. He was at Aubrey's softball game. It was awkward, it was uncomfortable, according to Chelsea. Even Cole said, "Why do you feel uncomfortable? He's over there, we're over here, what's the big deal?" She made a big stink about it when Aubrey was going over. She hugged him. Aubrey looked so happy to see her dad. That's all that matters. She was over there, hugged him. It was so sweet. He looked great. I was kind of like curious, what is Adam up to? I loved seeing him. I hope we see more of him because I love Adam. You know, I thought he was always a great addition. So hopefully he'll be on the season more. Let's get into Briana. So her boyfriend allegedly got another girl pregnant. Another day in Teen Mom world. So she received a screenshot from a random person from an account that had, you know, a conversation between John and this alleged woman saying, oh, like, you were just a piece of beep, like, you know, beep yourself, like all these curse words. It was really, really horrible. Even MTV had to blur it out because it was so bad. So Briana had no idea who to believe. John, my boyfriend of a year, or this woman. They just planned a trip to the DR. They were just gonna celebrate her birthday. It was supposed to be like a romantic trip. She wanted a ring. She wanted him to move. It was this whole big thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, a screenshot. Like in Teen Mom world, everything is perfect timing. So she flew to New York and she wanted to talk to him. She was crying. He was weirdly wearing a hoodie in the restaurant. And John doesn't talk much. He just randomly will just be like, sick conversation. It was very awkward, but overall, as we saw on next week's episode, they will be going to the DR, so we'll see what happens in their romance because it is just so interesting because John is just so full of life. So let's go into Kale. We had Chris Lopez kind of appear with his face blurred. So Kale actually dropped the bombshell, which her boys said, that her boys want her to marry Chris Lopez. Moment of silence for that one. Chris, you know, I always liked Chris. He doesn't want to be on the show. He doesn't want fame, all that, even though he has like, you know, thousands and thousands of Instagram followers. He doesn't want the fame. So she said that her boys told her, you know, when we're all at our dad's, you're all alone and we don't want you to be lonely. How thoughtful. So they said, why don't you marry Chris Lopez? And she was kind of just like, yeah, maybe. And they said, you know, we wish he was around more. The boys love him. So he actually said to Kale, he does not want the baby, aka Lux, to film. He doesn't really like the attention the baby gets when they're out and about at the store. He doesn't want his kid to be a celebrity. So he was coming to pick him up, and Isaac and Lincoln said, we want to go with Chris too. The kids love him. That's why I truly wish Chris was on the show. I want to understand why these kids want to hang out with him. Chris said, you know, I'll take the boys with me for the day. Obviously, that's going to mess up the shoot because the cameras came to film Kale and her sons. Without her sons, if they were going with Chris, what are they going to film? So Chris decided to stay, which I thought was really thoughtful, and hang out with the boys. Lincoln had a meltdown when he was supposed to go and get his passport renewed because these kids travel more than any of us combined. And he had a breakdown. I want to stay with Chris. I want to stay with Chris. Kale said, why do these kids love Chris so much? I want to know too, so hopefully one day he'll be on the show because I would love to see his personality more on camera. We only get it through Instagram Live because that's all he does because he allegedly doesn't work. Let's get into Leah and Jeremy. They are just co-parenting so well because all they're doing is sleeping together, basically. So they had to take Addie to the doctors. You know, she had problems. We saw she had to go to the ER. Everything's fine. She had a little, you know, crying moment. Oh, I don't want to do this, you know, boo hoo hoo. Everything was fine. Then they went to hang out at his place and the producers were asking, oh, so you guys are both single? They're like, yeah, we're just co-parenting really well. Leah's like, that's what we always say. And then they laughed and it was like, can you make it any more obvious that you're still sleeping together? Let's get into Jade. So we're kind of getting more about her story, what she's doing, her relationship. As I said last week, you know, a new house is not going to fix your relationship. And I think she finally realized that. She should listen to me more often. She finally realized because everything just went, you know, kaboom. They were fighting more. Sean kind of kicked her out in a way. They said, you know, we need more space. We just need time. You guys just moved in together. I think it was like 3 days, and you guys already need space from each other. So Jade packed up her bags. She was trying to say goodbye to their daughter, Chloe. Chloe was not having it. Jade broke down. She was crying in the car. I feel so unloved. I feel so unwanted. And Sean was just standing there when she left. You know, he was just like, later. So she got in the car. She was crying. It was very, very sad. But, you know, next week's episode, let's talk about next week. That's all I have for this week. Next week's episode, we saw a little sneak peek that was filled with drama. We saw Jade crying over her mom and the alleged drug use. We saw Briana kind of asking for a ring from John, and John was like, awkward. But the bombshell that just left me in awe. So we learned that Javi and Lauren were engaged, which happened in June of this year. So we see Kale learning the news for the first time. The producer shows her the picture and it's like, look, oh my God, Javi and Lauren engaged. He was kind of being a little shady about it. That's why I love the producers, because they just aren't afraid to hold back. Kale's in her car and goes, good luck. He's been cheating on you since before you got pregnant. So the cheating scandal that we knew of, let's just go back a little bit. So we found out in August of this year that Javi cheated on Lauren when she was home sleeping in the bedroom upstairs. He was downstairs at a party, a CrossFit party. So Lauren knows these people, Javi knows these people very well. So Lauren actually packed up her stuff, went back to Maine for a little bit. We could tell because of her Instagram stories. There was this beautiful scenery around. I was like, obviously you're not in Delaware, no shade to Delaware. It was just beautiful. We knew she was in Maine with her family. But then we saw her back in her Delaware home from her Instagram stories, from all the ads that she's doing. I was like, whoa, that's the kitchen in her house with Javi. So she's back. So now she's been back a couple weeks, and now Kale drops this bombshell on the show, even though they're not really on it anymore. We saw Javi last night on the episode. He was just, you know, barely talking to Kale. They were at an event, but they're not really on it anymore. And then we have Kale drop this bombshell on us, kind of when Javi and Lauren are mending things. We actually had someone, a source, say that they're working on their relationship and, you know, they're going to give it another chance. But now this bombshell has been dropped about possibly more cheating scandals. So hopefully Kale will kind of get into it next week, because I need to know more details, and I'm sure you guys need to know more details too. So make sure you come back next week to hear what I have to say about it, and we could go over the episode together. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel below, and don't forget to come back next week. Bye.